Nightmare Before Christmas is one of the most beloved Halloween/Christmas movies of all time. But there are a lot of facts and hidden secrets about this movie that you probably don't know about, even if you're a fan. So stay tuned till the end because these facts shocked me. And while I discuss some of the most obscure facts in the film, I thought you guys could have some entertaining background because I am getting my Nightmare Before Christmas Build A Bear Plushies stuff. Fact number 1. Did you know that Tim Burton actually didn't direct Nightmare Before Christmas? That means if somebody told you so, that may have been a lie. Because the true director of Nightmare Before Christmas is Henry Selick, who directed another film that is also often mistaken for Burton's work, Coraline. The difference between this and Coraline, though, is that Tim Burton actually wrote the script for Nightmare Before Christmas, but he did not have time to direct it since he was directing Batman at the same time. This leads me to fact number 2, which is more surprising considering the first fact. Did you know that Jack Skellington was actually inspired by Tim Burton's childhood Halloween costume? As you can see by this picture, there's a striking resemblance to Jack Skellington. And this one Halloween costume is basically the source of the entire movie. Which leads me to my next fact. Did you know that Jack Skellington can be seen in the background of Beetlejuice? Beetlejuice came out in 1988, which of course is years before the 1993 release of A Nightmare Before Christmas. In the movie, he is shown on the miniature table, which of course Beetlejuice appears from, where there is a merry-go-round with a canopy, and on top of this canopy is a white skull that would later become Jack Skellington's head. And this wouldn't be the only movie that Jack Skellington appears in. Once again, prior to the release of A Nightmare Before Christmas, there was another movie that had a Jack Skellington cameo. And that movie would be Edward Scissorhands. In the Cookie Factory flashback, there is actually a piece of machinery that strongly resembles Jack Skellington. I found these two particularly interesting because they both predate the release of the movie. However, there are a lot of cameos of Jack Skellington in other movies that actually postdate the release of A Nightmare Before Christmas, such as James and the Giant Peach, Sleepy Hollow, and Finding Nemo. Also, did you know that in 2001, Disney considered the idea of making a sequel to Nightmare Before Christmas? But rather than using stop motion like the former movie, they wanted to use all computer animation to create this. Tim Burton, however, saved the day on this one and convinced Disney that this was not a good idea, which I totally agree with. I'm sure many of us feel that Nightmare Before Christmas doesn't need a sequel. It's already a perfect movie that wraps up in a very satisfying way. Most of the times with sequels, they are unable to capture the magic of the first movie, and I think especially for this one, since it wouldn't have been animated in stop motion. This leads me to another fact of how the movie was created. It was inspired by a poem that Tim Burton wrote after seeing Christmas decorations replacing Halloween decorations, and it originally only featured Jack Skellington, Zero, and Santa Claus. Another fact that I found especially interesting was that all of the songs for the movie were created before the script was, which means that all of the songs that you hear throughout the film were put together by composer Danny Elfman before there was even any official dialogue for the film. The composer Danny Elfman was also the voice for Jack Skellington during all of his scenes where he was singing. If you've ever asked yourself whether Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas or a Halloween movie, then I have the answer for you, because it's actually been confirmed what holiday the movie aligns with most. The director said that A Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween movie, which honestly makes the most sense to me since we spend the most time in Halloween Town and most of the imagery is pretty spooky. But I know that this conversation is extremely torn, so let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, and if you would agree with the director of the movie. The movie was also inspired by Rankin Bass Production, which if you don't know, is a company that has made plenty of stop-motion classic Christmas animated films, such as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Jack Frost, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and A Year Without Christmas. And of course they also did Frosty the Snowman, however that was traditionally animated. That honestly makes the choice for stop-motion animation resonate even more within my mind, because I grew up watching these stop-motion Christmas films along with Nightmare Before Christmas, and I never knew that those films inspired Nightmare Before Christmas. Did you know that Nightmare Before Christmas was also supposed to be a TV special originally? Tim Burton envisioned the movie as something that would play every year around the holidays, which is technically true, just not quite in the way that he initially envisioned. He pitched He pitched it to TV networks and eventually even pitched it to book publishers, but they all said no. And it wasn't until he pitched it as a full-length movie that it was finally accepted as an idea. And the great part about that is it got more exposure, becoming even more of a classic because of it, and also it got a higher budget so we could really see every single aspect of Halloween Town. Just like how I mentioned the songs were composed before the script was made, there were also pieces of the film that were filmed before the script was completed. This is due to the songs being made before the script, so the scenes containing music were actually filmed before the scenes containing dialogue. Many fans of the movie loved Jack's iconic look, but did you know that Jack could have looked a lot different? Even though Jack's design had been in the work for years with little changes here and there was one entity who wanted him to have a major change. And that was Disney themselves. They really wanted Jack Skellington to have eyes, which I think is very odd since he's a skeleton. And production had to fight very hard to be able to keep Jack's original look intact. Could you imagine if Jack Skellington had eyes? I wonder if the movie still would have been as popular. To capture Jack's full range of emotion throughout the movie, they had to have 400 different Jack Skellington heads with different expressions. While there have never been any movie successors to Nightmare Before Christmas, there is actually a book that sequels the movie. It's called Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, and it focuses on Sally's life after becoming married to Jack. They're really happily married, but their lives get turned upside down because Sally accidentally lets out an unknown villain. Speaking of villains, Oogie Boogie was one of the hardest characters to create of the whole cast. This is due to his general wideness, as well as being a burlap sack. Have you ever wondered why the mayor has two faces? Well, to put it simply, it's because he's a politician. It goes to play off the old stereotype that politicians are two-faced. And in this instance, they use it comedically by using his face to show when his mood has switched. The next fact is a personal favorite of mine because it connects to one of my favorite shows. Did you know one of the iconic characters from Nightmare Before Christmas is actually voiced by the same voice actor who voices an iconic American Dad character? For those who don't know, American Dad is an adult cartoon that started in 2005. It was created by Seth MacFarlane, who also created Family Guy, and is, in my opinion, the best adult cartoon there ever is. And this is coming from the #1 Family Guy person. The crossover is with Lock, Shock, and Barrel. Specifically Barrel. Barrel is voiced by Danny Elfman in the movie, but in the video game adaptation, Oogie's Revenge, Barrel, along with Clown with a Tearaway Face and Hanging Tree, are all voiced by D. Bradley Baker, who provides the voices of Klaus and Rogu in American Dad. Although this is the most recognizable role of his for me, he also voices Perry the Platypus, and Bubble Bass and Squilliam from SpongeBob, as well as many other iconic cartoon characters. In the original movie adaptation, Locke is voiced by Paul Rubens, and Shock is voiced by Catherine O'Hara, who also does Sally's voice. Did you know that over 200 puppets were used to create The Nightmare Before Christmas? The number is less surprising when you think about how many townspeople they are and how they have to switch characters out when they have a different outfit or look. But it just goes to show how much attention and care was put into this movie. Did you know that Mickey Mouse makes an appearance in Nightmare Before Christmas? In one of the scenes from the human world, two of the children are shown wearing Daffy Duck and Mickey Mouse pajamas. One of those blink and you'll miss it type moments. Now that these Build-A-Bears are finally stuffed, I can say goodbye for today. But let me know what you thought of these facts about Nightmare Before Christmas in the comments below, and if you'd like more videos like this video. See you guys next time!